Hello there and welcome back to another video, especially if you are new. Now, if you saw my most anticipated decks of 2025, you will be aware that Nicola McIntosh is releasing the Celtic Spirit Tarot, which is coming out in a couple of months, some September-ish, I think. Now, sadly, whilst I don't have a pre-edition of that deck, I do have the original Oracle, which was published by Rockpool. It is one of my favourite Oracle decks, and I thought it would be nice to have a little look at the Oracle to kind of whet your appetite to see what you might be in store for the tarot. So let's dive in. And of course, do comment below if you've ever used this deck or if you are looking forward to the release of its tarot counterparts. Okay, starting with the box then, we have a nice two-part sturdy box. As I said, this has been produced by Rockpool, who I've got to be honest are my favourite Oracle deck producers because the quality is so high and everything is done really beautifully. There's kind of like a soft, I think it's referred to as like a rose finish. Comment below if I've got that wrong. It's also a little bit waxy, and the cover has a montage of some of the images on the cards found within the deck. On the inside we have a Celtic spiral, and I should say around the side we have title and the name of the creator. I believe Nicola McIntosh wrote the book and did all of the artwork for the cards. It's quite plain around the side, and on the back here is a brief description of what the deck offers and some examples of some of the cards. There are 36 cards, and of course a guidebook, and then in the back here we have an alternative Celtic spiral here, and they're just beautiful. The backs of the cards have, I think that's a different spiral again, with some sort of Celtic knots around the edge, which I guess if you wanted to you could do reversals, and then of course the book, which we will have a look at now. As I said, Rockpool produce really high standard of books, all in colour, and at the beginning we have quite a nice table of contents, again picking up the Celtic knotwork and patterning, how we can receive messages from the Celtic spirits. Nicola does go in to talk about the different types of energies and beings that she's included, so elementals, a little bit about the Celts themselves, and Nicola has embedded quite a lot of her own personal experience in this deck, and later on when you read some of the meanings she'll talk about how she's journeyed or meditated and met some of these Celtic guides in those situations. A little bit about how to use the cards and some questions that you might want to consider asking, and some spread ideas, so a variation on a 3-card spread there. The classic past, present and future pentagrams spread, and of course a variation on the Celtic cross. And then we go straight into the card meanings. So each card has a colour image, we have some keywords, and then straight into the description, and quite often if there's a bit of a space they've picked up additional illustrations. And so yeah, this book is really beautiful. And at the back here, a little bit about Nicola, her profile. The book is a matte finish, and that's it. So looking at the cards then, we've already seen the backs. There are 36 cards and they have been edged with this matte green finish. I'm not going to lie, it has started to wear off. So, I mean, I'm a bit of a messy shuffler, so I think I've just caught the cards. And even though they're quite thick, they have started to get a little bit tatty. So this card appears to be the same thickness as all the other rock pool oracle decks that I have. This is a Season of the Witch card for comparison. Similar amount of flex. However, this one is matte. There is a slight sheen to it, but you can see this one is a lot more glossy. They shuffle really nicely, hand over hand. I'm so bad at riffle shuffling, so to prove how bad I am, here is my poor attempt at riffle shuffling, but as you can see, it is possible. In the guidebook, Nicola McIntosh tells us the Celtic messengers are here to help raise the consciousness of humanity. A big task, we know, but a necessary one. Those that have chosen to reveal themselves have some very valuable advice to give and offer it freely in the hope that you will listen and take action. Now is the time to step up and be the change that you want to see in the world. Change can be frightening, change can be tough, but through change we create space for better things. These elemental beings bring you the gift of wisdom beyond our physical realm. They see through our physical limitations and understand what is needed at this time. Their messages at times are so subtle, like a whisper that gets lost in our noisy way of life. Some people are able to hear their messages if they slow down enough to listen. What I really like about this deck is the style of artwork, so the combination of line drawings with these areas of washes of colour. I really love the natural and muted tones, and it feels very soft, this deck. Something else I like is if you're into nature, then I think you would definitely like this deck, because this, obviously being a Celtic deck, it draws upon wisdom from plants, but animals, other natural phenomenon, and there's a nice mix of, I guess, Celtic archetypes and deities, but also energies that Nicola has assigned to the Celtic tradition. So I think there's one here which is spiral or cosmos. And yeah, it's a really gentle deck. I also use this as a summer deck. So some of you will be aware that I got this deck out kind of in May. So when spring's really getting full swing, this is definitely when I find myself reaching for this deck. And if there hadn't have been other decks that I wanted to work with, now we're later on in the summer, I probably would have continued to using it because I always enjoy using this deck. There are also some Celtic deities in here which you will recognise, from the Morrigan to Lodeweh and Ceridwen. So I've been pairing this deck with the Enchanted Forest Tarot, which I shared in my previous video, so I won't get those decks out, but if you want to see how they look when paired together, definitely go back and check that video out. This will probably go quite nicely with any of the Season of the Witch deck. Looking at my tarot shelf, I'm almost wondering if it would go with Hush Tarot. So out of curiosity, let's have a quick look. Let's see how these pair visually. I mean, colour wise, so the Hush Tarot has those very kind of muted sepia kind of colours as inspired by traditional Victorian botanical art, and these two look quite nice together, very similar colours and quite a similar vibe. But I'm not sure. Yeah, and I think these ones probably go quite nicely together as well. Yeah, similar sorts of greens. It's kind of sickly colour really in the Hush Tarot, and yet I don't find it so sickly in the Celtic Spirit Oracle. I mean, I don't think they're all gonna go. Obviously these tarot cards now from the Hush are quite dark. But I'm almost wondering, I mean, Hush for me is quite a shadowy deck, and I'm almost wondering whether you could use the Celtic Spirit to draw out the shadow work that maybe you're working with. I'm not at a stage where I want to be doing shadow work because I'm working with goddess work at the moment, but perhaps something to explore in the autumn. Let's have a look at how this deck is like to use for a reading. Now, I typically use my Oracle decks for a single card pull, for a message for the day, or as clarifier cards with my tarot decks or other Oracle decks. It's rare that I will do a bigger reading with just an Oracle deck, but it does depend on the day, and I do like to experiment. So let's have a look at the Triquetra 3-card spread. This is just a variation, as I said, on the traditional past, present or future, but she has put here, assigned these with other possibilities for these cards. So the issue, the obstacle, the outcome. So I think what I'm going to do is assign these to these cards here. So issue, obstacle and outcome, although I think I'm going to change that to solution. Something I will say is that I do quite often need to look at the guidebook for this deck, even though I find the artwork beautiful. I just find I can't always get an immediate answer from these. Do comment below if you found differently. Very interesting. We've got issue, obstacle, outcome. And I would say issue and obstacle are similar things, so I'm going to put the issue, the solution, and then the outcome. Okay, issue, I am currently facing, and I've mentioned before, I do use jumpers, but I don't try and force them, so what I typically do is just wait to see if a card feels like there's an energy about them. So let's go for that one. So the issue or obstacle, I don't think I'm going to be able to fit all of these cards on here, I'm afraid. Solution to the issue, you, and then we are looking for an outcome if we follow the guidance for the solution. Let's go with this one. Okay, but all my readings I follow the same pattern, which is to do a visual interpretation and then look at the guidebook. So even if I struggle with visual interpretations, I will still try and work intuitively with them. Okay, so the issue then is gatekeeper. So looking about this, the first thing that strikes me, obviously we have the dragon's eye, but we do have coins here, so this speaks very strongly to me that there is an issue regarding money. Yeah, so dragons are associated with manifesting abundance, so maybe there's a blockage to really going for what I want, or there's an idea that I'm not quite kind of reaching at the moment. Interesting. The solution then, and I was getting this card loads when I was working with this deck a couple of months ago, Master of the Hunt. So really channeling that masculine energy, that go-getting, that go-get-it energy, which sometimes, if I'm honest, I do lack. I probably procrastinate on ideas too much, and allow myself to go with the flow. So I have an idea, follow the thread, see where it goes, rather than worrying about it or ruminating on it too much. And the outcome, wow, celestial. So if I follow my passions and be a bit more proactive, celestial, so I guess finding one's purpose within the universe, being part of, you know, the cycle of giving and receiving, creating a life that I feel is worth living, rather than feeling stuck, constantly flowing in and out of life. So that's how I would interpret it. Very quickly then, let's see what the book has to say for the gatekeeper. If I remember rightly, this is dragon card, and dragons are a really powerful message. It means that you're being protected. And I can't flick through the book and find the number at the same time. Apologies. Where's he gone? There we go, next page. Okay, so gatekeepers to other worlds and caretakers of treasures. So yes, the money here. Very significant if you draw this card. High vibration. So because this is the issue, maybe I'm not putting out that high vibration that I need to attract the abundance that I'm hoping to. So yeah, it's not gone unnoticed. The dragon is gifting you with help of abundance. So it may be that this help is out there, but I haven't called upon that yet. As this is the issue or obstacle position, you might have reached a point where you know where you're going and what you need to do, but resources don't seem to be there. So yes, kind of possibly on the precipice of doing something, but just a bit stuck to take it to the next level. But I think this is just saying that actually everything is okay. This dragon is there to help me, and obviously it goes on. But I'm trying to keep this short, so I'm not going to read all of it. So, as I said, Master of the Hunt, very familiar card to me. Our keywords then, speed, masculinity. So having the keyword of speed suggests that now is the time to act, and don't wait around, basically, because otherwise you might, miss the opportunity. So this is just a little bit of how she encountered this character, which I mentioned in my intro. So yes, he represents the Horn God, or the Green Man, or Cernunnos. So drawing this card, where have you stepped out of flow? Are you feeling supported and flowing in what you are doing, or are you facing resistance and exhaustion? So it's really, this card, I think, is just a time to step back and reflect the actions that I'm taking and the kind of the results that I am experiencing due to my actions. And then Celestial, that's number 17. It would have helped if I'd paid attention to the number of this card. Right, so spiral is an important symbol for the Celts. It symbolises many things, but mostly it represents movement and the constant spinning of cycles. So yeah, that's kind of what I suspected. In drawing this card, you may be asked to look at what drives your momentum. Is it sustainable? Will it be enough to keep everything moving? So kind of like a double-edged sword here. But this reading is really all about, I think, being in flow and following the ideas that you have, but also being aware of keeping things balanced, and not obsessing over one thing, and sort of having a holistic overview to keep, healthy cycles going. When things are out of balance, then that's when things start to go wrong. So really fascinating reading from the Celtic Spirit cards there. Let me know what you think. How would you have interpreted this spread? I'd love to hear what you think. As always, thank you so much for joining me today to hang out and have a look at this wonderful deck. Do comment below to let me know what you think about this deck, and whether you've used it or whether you're planning on getting the accompanying tarot deck, which is coming out soon. I'm Sally, this is my channel, Vaudeville Manor, House of Art and Tarot, and until the next time, here are some other videos you can watch in the meantime. Bye bye.